This week on Goofing Off,
Becca gives us the Captain Carrot rundown on comic therapy.
Clayton talks about an esports event on Esports Unzipped.
All this and more on Goofing Off.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Goofing Off. I'm your host that's been here the entire time, Cameron Blenton.
And I'm Matt Reed. Wait, Cameron, something feels off here, like different, and I can't really put my finger on it.
I really don't know what you mean.
Wait, I think I know what it is. Why are we hosting? Aren't Drew and Becca usually the hosts?
I think it's just your new haircut. Becca does comic therapy and Drew does crafting. They've never hosted before.
I mean, I guess so.
So, let's see what Kyle has to say about Player's Choice on Drew's design.
Wait, what?
What's up, gamers? I'm Kyle Glockner, and this is Drew's design. Or Kyle's design? Yeah, I'm just confused as you are, to be honest. You know what else is confusing? Choices. Nailed it. Real talk, though, player choice is a huge aspect of certain games, and there's a ton of different aspects to player choice to talk about. But first, I should clarify what exactly I mean when I say player choice. For the purpose of this video, player choice refers to any decision a player can make within a game that has a chance to alter their experience with that game. I know that's a pretty broad definition, so I'll be breaking it down into a couple categories. Let's start with one of the broadest categories, character choices. Like I said, character choices is a pretty broad category, but this one can be broken down into two very distinct methods of choice, aesthetic and functional. Aesthetic choices are pretty self-explanatory. These can include changing the physical appearance of your character, such as their hair length, color, or style, the clothes they wear, their gender, race, or anything that solely affects how your character looks, speaks, or acts. While many games across all genres have started to implement some sort of aesthetic character customization these days, these features are most common in RPGs such as The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, some of the newer Fire Emblem games, and even in games such as Kirby's Squeak Squad, where you could change the color of Kirby at will. A lot of times, a player is given these choices in order to help immerse themselves in the game and almost allows your character to become self-insert, if you choose to make it that way. Whether I want Kyle Glockner the Wizard or Porthelicus the Nearsighted to save the land of Skyrim is completely up to me, the player. A second type of character choice we see, which at times very closely coincides with aesthetic choices, are functional choices. These will be what immediately comes to your mind when you think of character choice, as they encompass anything that you as the player can choose to enable your character to make it through whatever challenges lie before them. Whether that involves you creating a powerful spellcaster in an Elder Scrolls game, or changing your class in Fire Emblem, even something as simple as equipping your character with a different type of weapon, all fall under functional choices that you as the player make in order to enhance your experience with the game. One of my personal favorite examples of this comes from the Pokemon series. With over 800 Pokemon to choose from to make a team of 6 as of Ultra Sun and Moon, you have the complete choice of whether you want to make a team of the best, a team full of legendaries, shinies, shiny legendaries, or a team made up of your 6 favorite orange Pokemon. These games are designed in a way that if you train them hard enough, you can play through the game with any combination of 6 Pokemon, which is just one of the many aspects of Pokemon's replayability. Now, you may see some choices as objectively better than others, so it may not always feel like you necessarily have a choice in those certain situations. But most games are usually designed in such a way that, should you be smart or stubborn enough, you can make it through using whatever weapons, armor, or accessories you choose. To give an example that kind of ties these 2 points together, I really wanted to make Link in Skyrim back in the day. It was like 2013, give me a break. Plus, this was back when Skyrim was only released on like 2 consoles, so I didn't have the convenience of the Switch version with Amiibo. So in order to do this, I chose to prioritize aesthetics over functionality and created a high elf male that wielded an elven blade, branded iron shield, and wore a green shirt, green hat, iron gauntlets, and iron boots. Yeah, I think my total armor bonus was around 4. But despite having nearly no protection whatsoever, I arranged my stats wisely, used enchantments effectively, and I was able to beat the main story and all of the DLC as bootleg Elder Scrolls Link. And you know what? It felt super satisfying once I beat all those bosses wearing nothing but a green shirt. Of course, there are countless other examples of both aesthetic and functional choices players can make to enhance their experience with the game, especially now that we live in the era of microtransactions that allow you to purchase costumes or skins for characters in certain games. The possibilities here are truly endless and allow players to experience the same game the way they want to. Well, now that we've covered character choices, it's time we moved on to our next route, which is narrative choices. Narrative choices, much like character choices, are a huge category. This one's going to be a bit uglier to split up, even after we divide it into dialogue choices and action-based choices. We'll start with action-based choices, or the ABCs, am I right? I'll stop now. Action-based choices have had a huge impact on me over the years. More specifically, they affect the impact a game's story has on me. One of the prime examples that I've personally experienced is in the game Nier Automata. In this game, you play as 2B, a battle android whose duty is to fight against machines in order to save what remains of humanity. I won't go too much further than that in order to avoid spoilers, but I will say that you are not always forced to engage the machines in combat. And that's not to say that it's like other RPGs where you can simply avoid encountering enemies, but rather there are moments in the game where you could easily wipe out entire waves of machines, or you can just leave them be and move along with your day. There are several instances of this throughout the game, and some of these actions can lead you to different endings of the game. Of course, there are other examples of action-based narrative choices, such as in the aforementioned Elder Scrolls series of games, but I feel as though Nier's plot offers some of the greatest examples of these choices. Being forced to constantly make the choice to fight or abstain really made me consider some of the points the game was trying to make of its story a lot more than I would have if the entire game was just a mindless hack and slash. We're in the home stretch here, folks, so now I'll start talking about the second type of narrative choices, which I'll refer to as dialogue choices. Dialogue is more than just a familiar concept in games. Almost every game out there today has some form of dialogue within its code. The spoken words of an NPC to your character, a cutscene between multiple characters, or even the plot of the game itself. All of these things tie back into dialogue in some way. The main way we see choice regarding dialogue is in relation to what is known as a dialogue tree. What this means is, say a character asks you a question. You're given 3 dialogue options, each of which branch off to a different response from the character you were speaking to. Now, these branched off responses may merge back into the same string of dialogue, or they could continue branching off, getting further and further away from each other with the more choices you make in dialogue. I know I use it as an example a lot, but I'm going to go back to the Elder Scrolls for just a moment. Sometimes, when talking to another character, you'll be given some different options when speaking to them. A lot of times, these different options are just flavor text, or options that are there for the sake of role-playing your character a certain way. But other times, there are options to persuade, intimidate, or deceive the character you're speaking to. If you've built a rogue character who's all about lying and stealing, then you may choose to go with the deception option. If you've built a brute who has all his stats poured into offensive skills, then you may go with the intimidate option. A lot of times, these dialogue options don't have a huge impact on the game overall, but allow different builds of characters to have an equal footing in most situations. I would argue that the genre that uses branching dialogue the best is the visual novel genre. For those who don't know, visual novels are just that. A novel accompanied with visuals and audio that allow the player to advance the story at their own pace, just as they would if they were reading a paper novel. What's different about visual novels is that more often than not, they contain branching paths leading to multiple endings. How do you get to these endings, you may ask? Well, since the only thing you can really do in a visual novel is listen to and respond to dialogue, and I'm talking all about dialogue-based choices, I think you can figure it out. To name a few examples, Steins Gate, Clannad, and Fate Stay Night are all visual novels that contain branching dialogue that you, as the player, can control in order to take the game towards the direction that you would want it to go in order to achieve the ending you desire, or work to find a true ending. Going back to what I was talking about earlier with aesthetic choices, this can help a player immerse themselves in the story of a visual novel, allowing them to control the story as they would, reacting the way they would react, etc. There are a ton of other examples of this type of narrative choice, such as in the social links of the Persona series, and bonding with your classmates in the Danganronpa series, to name a few. All choices, whether they be aesthetic or functional choices a player makes regarding their character, or the action-based or dialogue choices the player makes to alter the narrative, affect how you, the player, enjoy the game. It's becoming increasingly common for games these days to offer the player some kind of choice when it comes to their character or the narrative, which has helped many games stand out amongst others released alongside them. Maybe after watching this video, you'll come to appreciate some of the little choices a game allows you to make. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, or have any other aspect of game design you want me to cover, tweet me at ZTV Goofing Off using the hashtag DrewsDesign, or Kyle's Design, or whatever. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.
So, Becca is doing a rabbit character for Create Your Character?
Oh, she's doing Captain Carrot for comic therapy.
Whoa, wait, when did she start doing comic therapy?
She's always done comic therapy.
What is going on?
Comic therapy.
Look, in the sky! It's a bird! It's a plane! No, wait, it's a rabbit? What's up, nerds? Hello, viewers. My name is Becca Tyler, and I will be running this episode of Comic Therapy today. In this episode, we're going to be looking at a looked-over DC hero with a heart that may exceed the size of his ears. Have you guessed it yet? That's right, Captain Carrot. Yeah, I know the name needs some work, but we're gonna move past that for now. Captain Carrot, or as civilians know him, Roger Rabbit, was first created by Roy Thomas and Scott Shaw in 1982, and was recently revamped in 2014 by Grant Morrison and Ivan Reis. Yes, I know what you're thinking. No one can replace the OG Roger Rabbit of Toontown, but Captain Carrot was released in 1982, whereas Who Framed Roger Rabbit was released in 1988, so hopefully Disney coughed up some of that royalty money. Captain Carrot made his first appearance in a comic featuring Superman entitled This Bunny Unbound, which later led into the series Captain Carrot and His Amazing Zoo Crew, which included 5 other species from across the United Species of America. Yes, that's real. You have Fastback, the turtle with super speed, Yankee Poodle, a patriotic pup with a strong magnetic pull, Pig Iron, a pig with super strength, Rubber Duck, which is kind of self-explanatory, but you know, he's a rather stretchy duck. And lastly, you have Alley Catabra, a feline who focuses all of her energy on sorcery. All in all, pretty neat characters, but nothing we really haven't seen before in heroes such as The Flash, Magneto, the Hulk, Plastic Man, and Doctor Strange. And then Captain Carrot is pretty much just a Superman with a cottontail. It just seems like a nice twist because everyone loves animals, right? In Captain Carrot's cameo issue, we start off with Superman trying to fix an epidemic of humans reverting back to their primitive state, due to ultraviolet or infrared light being emitted from Pluto. The plan was to fly to Pluto and put a stop to all of it, but there happened to be a kryptonite barrier surrounding the Earth's atmosphere, so Superman couldn't get through. Go figure, right? Superman tried to hurl himself on an asteroid through the barrier, but ended up just shattering the asteroid and falling down to Earth. When he got to Earth, though, he noticed something was kinda off. Could it be all of the animals walking through downtown New York in normal people clothes doing normal people things? That might be it. Turns out when Superman fell back down to Earth, he didn't exactly fall in the right dimension. He eventually ends up finding Roger Rabbit, a comic book writer and artist. He tries to figure out what exactly has happened when Roger takes a bite out of a slightly abnormal carrot with some not so slight side effects. Apparently the asteroid exploded when coming into contact with the kryptonite barrier and fell down to Earth in tiny fragments along with Superman. One of those fragments came into contact with Roger's carrots, and bada bing bada boom, you got yourself a radioactive carrot, my friends. This caused Roger to gain powers such as super strength, which he found out the hard way when he punched Superman through a couple walls, as well as super hearing abilities. This also granted him the new super persona, Captain Carrot. Again, it isn't the best name, but given the circumstances, it fits. Despite Captain Carrot being a furry Superman replica, he does still have some of that uniqueness that I find rather enjoyable. He's just a pure nerdy guy with some passive-aggressive humor that I find to be humorous and quite relaxing, to be honest. The only thing that I really didn't like about this character is that his powers are only temporary, due to the radioactive particles in the carrot not being very potent. Unlike Spider-Man, for instance, who got bit by a radioactive spider one time and kept his powers forever, Captain Carrot must continue to consume radioactive carrots in order to keep his powers and avoid risking some devastating consequences. For example, if Bowser the Barbarian from issue 7 of the Zoo Crew were to have pierced Captain Carrot's heart with his sword, Captain Carrot's super strength could handle that no problem. But if he didn't keep up with his carrot consumption, that minor flesh wound could end up becoming the cause of his death. But otherwise, everything else about this character seems to be in order. So that's pretty much it. And as per original comic therapy tradition, we're gonna play a little Guess That Mask. So let's take a gander at this mask and see if you can see who it is. It looks pretty amazing, don't you think? Well, regardless of what you think, if you have an answer for the mask or want to suggest another character for me or Clayton to cover, don't be afraid to tweet me or him at ZTV Goofing Off with the hashtag Comic Therapy. Before I hop on out of here, remember, I'm Becca Tyler, and this has been Comic Therapy.
So Cameron, did you hear it? Clayton is talking about the Collegiate Invitational.
What? But I'm the esports guy.
Not today, you aren't.
But how will I advertise my esports show?
You won't!
What?
What's up, guys? This is Esports Unzipped, and as always, I'm Clayton Schrock. Today, I'm at the University of Akron Esports Collegiate Invitational, where they've invited schools all across Ohio to come and participate in the esports tournament. Here, we have schools from Akron, Kent State University, Ohio University, Miami University, CSU Vikings, the Saints, and many more. All these teams will be playing each other throughout the weekend in games such as League of Legends, Overwatch, CSGO, Rocket League, Hearthstone, and Fortnite Untold. right, I'm here with a member of the University of Akron CSGO team. They're about to go up for the finals. How are you feeling about this match?
Relatively confident. I mean, it should be pretty sweet playing against Ohio State. We've already played them before in group stage, went 1-1, and we had a pretty confident map ban pool, so should be going to this pretty confident.
How do you think the weekend's gone so far? You think it's been a fun event overall? How have you guys been participating so far?
I definitely think it's been a fun event. Even when we're not playing against other teams, we can still hang out with them and just meet everyone around the state or the different universities here. So it's pretty cool event.
Now, after getting to take a look at some of the other universities around Ohio, how do you think Akron's been doing with the whole esports program? You know, all this stuff's relatively new. Like, how do you think you guys have been doing training-wise and also production-wise? How do you guys think you stand up?
I think Akron definitely is separated from the other schools. They might not be have the best skilled players in every single game, but they put their players in the best spot for development. So maybe in the next 5 years, you're still going to see Akron as a top school where these other schools might be falling behind.
I'm here with two guys from the Miami CSGO team. What have you guys thought of this event so far for this weekend?
We came in here not knowing exactly what to expect. We've never been to Akron, but it turned out really well. The space was nice. It seemed really organized, honestly. We're pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I kind of agree. There's a lot of PCs. Wasn't expecting that. There was a lot of space. Wasn't expecting that either. Admins were really nice and worked well with us. Yeah.
How'd you guys do this weekend?
Not as glad as we would have. Only 3 teams showed for CS, so we got third, but we had some respectable matches, especially against Akron. We struggled playing them a couple months ago, but we improved a lot on those. Lost 14-16 on 2 maps, which was rough, but I think we did pretty good.
And how'd Miami do for the rest of the participations? You guys won League of Legends, right?
Yeah, we just won League of Legends. Rocket League plays grand final at 9 against OSU.
Nice.
So we're pretty pumped for that.
Now, most colleges are pretty new to the whole esports scene. I know Akron's is our first major year. I don't know how far Miami is, but how do you guys think colleges are doing with their esports program so far?
So we're on our 3rd year. It's just every year you see more and more teams jumping in, and it's really kicking off, which is good. I'm excited. We started and no one else was really doing it. We're playing a lot of club schools and stuff, but this year it feels like we run into more varsity programs than not. So
I'm here with the Akron Esports Fortnite team. They just won against the U.S. Army in the finals. How do you guys feel about the win?
I thought it was pretty good. We all were staying alive for the most part. Each game, just trying to get as many kills and stay alive for the longest and just get the win.
Yeah, it was pretty competitive. It was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a lot more high stakes, high intensity than I thought it was going to be.
Now, Fortnite is pretty new to the esports scene. How do you guys think it kind of fares up against things like League of Legends, CSGO, kind of the name stays in this? How do you think Fortnite's doing?
Well, I mean, as far as competitive wise and just prize wise, Fortnite's #1. It's just the amount of dedication that Epic Games have been putting into their skirmishes and just everything with the pros is just, it can't be beat right now. But as far as the smaller scenes, it's a little less hard to get involved with Fortnite because it is a battle royale, so it's not head to head against another team.
Right, yeah.
So that's the only challenge with that. But hopefully we're going to see a change soon. I think today was a good showing, and hopefully stuff like this happens a lot more.
Now, as you guys have gotten a chance to kind of see how the other schools and teams in Ohio have had their esports programs, how do you think Akron's kind of faring up against that?
I might be biased, but I think we're one of the better schools.
Better?
Yeah, I mean, we had almost everybody in the finals this week, so.
I'm here with a member from the Ohio State esports for CSGO. You guys just had the win against Akron in the finals. How'd that game go?
I thought it went pretty smoothly. I was surprised it went so smoothly because Akron are one of the top collegiate teams and they practice a lot, so happy with how it went.
I saw during that first match there was a moment where it was kind of back and forth between leads. Were you at all nervous during that, or were you guys pretty confident that you'd come back?
We were pretty confident we would come back. We knew our T side was way stronger than our CT side, so we knew we had the upper hand overall.
How did you guys feel about this weekend overall for Ohio State as a whole and just you guys as CSGO?
We actually have not met with the LoL or Overwatch teams before, but we got dinner with them last night. They're all pretty cool guys, so there's a lot more unity with them.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I forget who, but some OSU team went out first round, so sucks for them. But yeah, otherwise OSU is doing pretty well. Akron, this whole event has been so well run. I'm really excited to see where esports is going to go in the future.
All right, that's my time here at the University of Akron Esports Collegiate Invitational. This weekend has been incredible. We've seen some great matches, some awesome players from universities. As always, this has been Esports Unzipped. Make sure to tweet us at ZTV Goofing Off using the hashtag Esports Unzipped. As always, I'm Clayton Schrock, and I'll see you next time.
So what thing is Tyler making this time? A portal gun? Pokeball? Sulfurous from WoW?
Matt, those are just items. He does entire characters on Create Your Character.
But Becca does create your character.
No, she does comic therapy, and Tyler does Create Your Character. And he's up next.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Create Your Character. I'm Tyler Dillinger, and usually you would see me making some neat little creations on my show, Crit Crafting, but your usual host, Becca Tyler, seems to have disappeared. So I decided I wanted to showcase one of my favorite characters from a relatively recent point-and-click horror game, Sallyface. Sallyface is the name of the game, not the character. The character's name is Larry. He's a mild-mannered nerd with an affinity for progressive rock music and ghost hunting. Without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back. Let's begin by looking at what a Larry Johnson cosplay requires. A pair of dark blue or any shade of black jeans. You'll want to design a cosplay based on your sizes, and since this cosplay is for me to wear, I have a pair of dark blue jeans that are 38 inches in the waist and between 30 and 32 inches in the legs. These were about $10 at Walmart. Next is the most important piece, a large Sanity's Fall band tee. Sanity's Fall is actually Larry's favorite band. This shirt was about $18 on Amazon. Next, you'll want to get a long brown wig. Depending on how often you'll be using this cosplay, you can either buy one from Amazon for around $9.99, which is pretty cheap and the quality is not that good, or get a specially made and styled wig from a place like Easy Cosplay for about $13 plus shipping, but you'll want to order it from Easy Cosplay way ahead of time. Next, you want to get a pair of Chuck Taylor or similar looking shoes. These are size 10.5 and they were about $30 at Walmart, but you could probably find a decent pair in a thrift store or other shoe store. Now, Larry also has some rather thick eyebrows and equally thick eyeliner or bags under his eyes all of the time, but I'm not very good with makeup, so let's not pay those any mind. Now, here's a brief summary of Sallyface's story while I try to put on this wig. Sal Fisher and Larry Johnson met in middle school when Sal moved into the Addison apartment complex with his dad. They became fast friends while Sally made his way through the complex and learned about his neighbors. And after they became friends with Ashley Campbell, who would later become a love interest for Sally, they learned about and got into all sorts of supernatural hijinks, tearing a sinister veil away from the oblivious eyes of their local community. Larry wears his hair kind of raked back and brushed behind his ears, but this wig is cheap and much less compliant than real hair, so I recommend getting one pre-styled or having a friend who can style wigs give you a hand. I've never had hair this long or heavy before. How does Kyle do it? Lastly, you want to behave like a young college student from the 90s, aloof but attentive. Wait, that's just a college student. You can usually see Larry slouching, but not enough to have a hunch. And he always walks with a slow pace and long strides. And of course, you want to get a black wristband or wristwatch for Larry's left wrist. And there's Larry, Sal Fisher's ghost hunting best friend. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or would like to see a specific character, feel free to tweet Becca Tyler at ZTV Goofing Off using the hashtag #CreateYourCharacter. I'm Tyler Dillinger, and I'll see you back on Crit Crafting where I teach you how to make your favorite nerdy props. Bye-bye!
Matt, I didn't know you could cook.
I can't. Why would I be cooking?
You're doing Drew's cooking?
Why would I be doing that? The title is literally Drew's Cooking.
I just thought it was an interesting choice and a title.
Well, I guess here's me with Drew's Cooking. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Matt's Cooking. I'm Matt, as you hopefully would have guessed by now, and I'm playing a game today called Mary Le Chef. That sounded terrible, but that's okay. I'm here at the screen right now, picking a difficulty and my name. I haven't really put too much thought into this name, so I'm just gonna be, all caps. I'm important. Alright, beginner mode. In beginner mode, your target scores are lower than customers and more patient, and I'm not reading this right. This is made for people who enjoy playing through games at their own pace. No. Normal. In normal mode requires moderate skill and offers a traditional challenge. Challenges, goals, customers, patience are set at regular levels. This mode is for the mainstream player. My name's not Mike, so I can't do that. Expert mode. We strongly advise you play through normal mode first before starting in expert mode, as the all-new expert mode is significantly harder than the... I'm an expert chef. All right, that's okay. Already, I agree to terms and services of chefhood. Okay, well, that's it. I'm done. I'm an expert. It's gonna go great. I've never played this game before. Cooking passion. Oh, I've already opened the restaurant. Well, I don't know what this is. It looks like a potato or a mango. There's a mouse in here. Okay, wait, hold on. Boom. How do I move? All right. Oh, this is an intro. This is an intro. Oh, okay, here we go. Now we're doing stuff. Now she's walking. No, I didn't literally just say vermin in front of you. Just what if my answer to that question was just no? No, didn't say vermin, sorry. You must be new to the restaurant business. No, I picked expert mode. I'm obviously the best chef that ever existed. This isn't just any mouse you're dealing with. The exterminators refuse to have anything to do with it. Guys, this is just a game of Ratatouille. This is just Ratatouille, the knockoff game. Gonna help me catch him. He's over there. Catch it quickly for a bonus. Oh, time to move. Do I move? Boom. I got you. I'm using my magic wand to wave around my restaurant and catch a mouse without ever moving my feet from where I'm standing. Yes, you've got him. Catch him every time you see him and you'll be fine. Why do I have to catch him every time I see him? Why can't I just catch him once, put him in another restaurant, he can live there, he'll be fine, he'll make a Disney movie, it'll be all good. Why does he have to live here? We're not going for rat gimmicks here. I'm trying to make millions in this restaurant. Mary Vanderworth. That's not my name. I put a name in for a reason. The law firm Vanderworth and Vanderworth. Creative name. You're not just worth it. You're Vanderworth it. Moving on. Get him a paper. I'm going to grill up some paper. Gets whatever that is. It looks like popcorn. Maybe. Who knows? Who cares? Give you the paper. I don't know why you came into my restaurant for the paper. That seems a little pointless. I feel like there's better ways to get paper than just a restaurant. Carlos Restaurant. I can't read backwards. They never taught me this in school. Oops. How do I set this down? Okay, well, you know what? We're gonna give you a little bonus today. We're gonna get you some... That's not what I meant to do at all. I don't know how this game works at all. What have I done? 1 star reached. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom. Hello, friendo. Oh, you don't have it yet. Okay, well, that's on you. Grab this. 4 hearts. She's dying. Okay. Gotta help her out. Whew. Saved her life. Get the mouse. Ah! All right, got that. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's an egg. I still don't actually know what that is. It looks just like a thing. Gotta clean this. Get him the egg. Why does he look so upset? Look at him. He looks sad. He looks in distress. He's got a lot more hearts than that other guy. Oh, wait, no, that's okay. Yeah, just stop getting mad at me, all right? You came here for the paper. You're not allowed to get mad at me. There's papers literally everywhere. Okay, you want an egg? Good. Lucky for you, that's all I have in this place. And paper. That's it. Where am I? This is not my restaurant. I don't need to be here. What's going on? Are you a partner yet? Jeez, chill out, all right? I just got here. I'm a chef, all right? I don't have time to be a partner. Just like we did. Technically, I was at the top of our class, dear. You were second. It was a tie, and you know it.
Anyhow, you're a Vanderworth. The law is in your blood.
That was rude. That was rude. I was talking to my parents. Yes, you're a famous Vanderworth. Who could forget? Ooh, she's jealous. You know what's going to happen at the end of this game? I'm going to have a fight to the death with her with nothing but cooking utensils. And at the end of it, I'm going to prove that I am the master chef and that she should never have knocked those flowers off my desk. And that's the whole game is probably motivated by that. That's it. I don't care who you are. If you want to work here, you'll be treated like everyone else. What, like garbage? That line was not Vander worth it. 3 star. Did I not tell you guys? I'm a master chef. Got the mouse in my house. All right. Just when I was a kid, I used to. You know what? Tragic backstories. We've heard them all in our superhero movies. We don't need to hear them in this cooking game. But I do want to hear about the smell of fresh vegetables, the feel of dough going through your hands, tasting new herbs. Bam, bam, boom. Who is this child? Where is your mother? Where is your father? Goodbye forever. Never come back. You know what? You can just leave. If you know, yeah, just get out of here. They didn't pay me either. I just realized that's really upsetting. Well, you're in luck. You got the freshest omelet around because wasn't meant for you. What is this? Lunchtime? On my lunch break, I go back to this place? What is this world? Oh no, it's Jennifer. Not Jenny. Not Jenny. Now, who shall I pick to be my second? I don't know, maybe the only person in the law firm as everybody has escaped via parachute off the top floor the second they heard that you were coming into the room. We're going to work days, nights, weekends, holidays, birthdays, funerals. That's a little messed up. What if it's her funeral? Is she gonna work that too? She didn't really think this one through, did she? I can sure name one of those I'd like to see happen. We're getting really dark in this game. We're going down the rabbit hole here. Get ready to spend lots of time together. No. Okay, iced tea, fruit plus tea equals that. Boom. Get your paper, money, boom. Paper. Bada bing, a bada boom. This girl doesn't even look old enough to walk. Get out of my restaurant. Go back to your parents. You shouldn't be here alone anyway. What is that?
And I want to know everything there is to know about Judge Espinosa.
Oh, oops. What, am I falling asleep?
And I want a review of all the evidence the defense has submitted tomorrow at 5 a.m. sharp.
That's rude.
We did that already.
I really got a lockdown of voice for her.
Yes, and now I want to do it again.
Everybody from the law firm who's important is just going to be
the deep voice.
Look at that. That is shenanigans. I want 2 stars. I deserve 2 stars. I only made one family walk out because I couldn't get them their food. And honestly, I caught the mouse. Look at that. Product unlocked. Bacon. Can we stop unlocking things? Keep your place simple. All right? You still only have 2 employees. I'm okay with just cooking eggs. Write it down. Write it down. Fade to black and scene and open. This and this and this. Ah, got it. Boom. Why are you so mad? You've been there literally 5 seconds. What is this supposed to be? Wait a minute, I made your... Oh no. A bada bing, a bada boom, a bada ba, a bada beep boop bop beep beep. Look at that. Beautiful. That's the best service I've ever given. Okay. It's just an order of clicking. That's all you need to know. You know? That's all you need to know. Get that. Go there. Boom. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. I think I did better. Got the money. Get out of my restaurant. I don't even like people. This game is shaving years off my life.
I'm sorry, is it nap time already? Witness depositions, where are we?
Already forgot a voice. Voice is just gonna change. Ahead of schedule. Here's an executive summary. I remembered right before I said it. Boop.
There's a typo on page 4.
How'd you read to page 4 already? You've been talking to me this entire time. You've not been reading that thing. Just look. Did you plant that typo so that when I handed it to you, you would know immediately that typo was there? This woman's out to get me. I don't think she's a nice lady.
Are you trying to make me look like a fool in front of the senior partners?
Do you really need me for that? Oh, burn! Got him! Look at that face. Look at that face. Get out of here. Boom, look at this, guys. We're getting really good at this game. I'm getting really good at kicking. Cooking, whatever. Kicking it old school. And now we're cooking with oil. You know what I mean? Oh, there's no, I missed the mouse! What?
I never imagined that my best friends and former business partners would sue me. So, not good, I guess.
I'm gargling sand. Okay, use. That's my jam. Use. I see nothing new. Why is this a bone? Whoa! Oh, there's soups! Oh, there's soups. Fruit. Get it. It's burnt. Who cares? Got you your food. Get out of my house. See you later, alligator. All right. All right, don't get upset. You literally just got here. You will survive, I think. Oh, wait, I already got one. I don't need to make another one. I'll just give you the old one that's been sitting here for like 25 minutes in game time. It's okay. They'll never notice. That's what happens at Applebee's, right? Oh, man. That's a tall order, all right? I can't handle more than, one person at a time. Give me the soups. Give me the soups. Give me the soups. All right. Beep. Boop. Pop. Oh, get the avocados going. Get that. You know what? Just get out of here, little lady. All right? You shouldn't be in here anyway.
So, have I told you the news?
You're going to stop calling people who leave you bad reviews online to shout at them? That seems like a really bad business practice. I don't know how this place is still afloat. Whoa!
Ingrates, all of them. No, this is much better. Felipe Francis is coming to the grand opening party.
I don't know who that is at all. The famous food writer? Exposition immediately after. I should have waited. I should have waited. He is so great. I've been following his work since I was a kid. You had a very bad childhood if you've been following a food writer work since you were a kid. You had no imagination. You were just like, that person wrote a review on spaghetti in the paper, and you know what? I'm in. Okay, get the soup, get the bacon, get the thing with the pin in it, avocado. I'm really smart. Get another one going. Get the cappuccino. Originally, we set out to figure out a way to cleanly power whole cities with our plant-to-solar technology. Doesn't seem feasible. But the board took it in a different direction. They made weapons of mass destruction with my solar panels.
I've put in almost 18 hours.
Weird flex, but okay.
Most of them billable. You don't see me complaining.
All right, just trying to flex on her. Got it.
I'll see you tomorrow, Yennefer.
Saying her name is... Oh, stop! You are terrible! You keep dropping stuff. You're leaving a little breadcrumb trail.
This isn't one of our pay stubs.
Well, I'm going to finish this up as you watch my restaurant burn down in flames. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we came, we saw, we cooked some food. We tried to catch a few mice here and there. We didn't catch a whole lot. Yeah. Maybe next time I'll finish this game up, but it's not likely. This woman has enough of her own problems. She needs to sort out her own life. I'm not going to be there to solve all her issues for you. Thanks for coming on Matt's Cooking. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, or have any suggestions about what I should try to play next, or cook up, or as these people walk out of my restaurant, how to run my restaurant, please tweet me at ZTV Goofing Off using the hashtag Drew's Cooking. My name is Matt, or Drew, whatever works for you. And this has been Matt's Cooking. So, Cameron, you're doing Animanga?
Sure am. Although back in my day, it was called Animate.
I didn't even know you liked anime.
What are you talking about? I talk about anime all the time.
Well, yeah, but I mean like real anime, like Cory in the House. Here's Cameron with Animanga.
Hello, anime and manga fans, and welcome to another episode of Animanga. I'm your host, Cameron Button. For as long as humans have existed, we have had this need to explore and adventure. All throughout history, we see people exploring. People like Lewis and Clark, Christopher Columbus, or Ferdinand Magellan. It's like the need for exploring is hard-coded into our DNA. And today, I'll be talking about an anime that explores this theme incredibly well. That's right, I'll be talking about Made in Abyss. Directed by Masayuki Kojima and produced by Studio Kinema Citrus, Made in Abyss is a beautiful story about a 12-year-old orphan girl named Riko who finds a robot boy. This boy is Reg, who has no memory of who or what he is. Both of them wish to go to the Great Abyss to find out more about him and to catch up with Riko's mother. What is the Great Abyss? Well, it's this giant hole that popped up in the ground with an unmeasurable depth. In this hole are monsters and relics from ancient time. Cave divers delve into this abyss in search of these relics, hoping to make enough money to never have to go back again. But not only are there monsters in the abyss, there's also a curse. When ascending 30 meters or more, you will feel the effects of these curses, each layer containing a different curse. Starting in the first layer, you'd feel some light dizziness and nausea. Coming up from the second layer, you'd feel extreme nausea, headaches, numbness of the limbs. On the third layer, you'd receive vertigo and some hallucinations. In the fourth layer, it becomes full body pain along with internal and external bleeding. With the fifth layer, you'd have complete sensory deprivation, confusion, and self-harming behavior. In this sixth layer, you'd lose your humanity and become a hollow, or even die. And finally, with the seventh layer, ascending up 30 meters means certain death. But none of these things scares Riko away from wanting to explore the abyss and become a white whistle. What's a white whistle, you ask? They are the best of the best, the top delvers and relic finders known to mankind. There is a ranking system with these whistles. Red whistles being the lowest, then blue, then purple, then black, and finally the white whistles on top. The whistles signify your rank and skill as a delver. Not only that, but their knowledge of the abyss is incredibly vast, and whatever they find is essentially held as true when it comes to the abyss. These are the rules that this world follows, and it just so happens that Riko is the daughter of one of these white whistles, Liza the Annihilator. One day, a letter and a white whistle comes to the surface. It so happens to be Liza's whistle with a field note about creatures and discoveries in the abyss, as well as a singular note saying that she is waiting at the bottom of the abyss. And with that, Reg and Riko sneak out and head into the abyss to descend to the bottom to meet Riko's mother. Made in Abyss is a gorgeous anime, filled with breathtaking visuals and amazing soundtrack. The abyss is a terrifying place, and when Riko and Reg aren't running from monsters or figuring out how to survive in the abyss, it is just so incredibly beautiful. The art style of this anime is absolutely breathtaking. There are parts that you could just take a screenshot and make it your desktop background. And not only is this visually stimulating, it also has an amazing story. Made in Abyss brings tons to the table with lessons of what is really important to a person, the morals that we hold dear, and how to look on the bright side of things when everything looks dark. We see tons of sad moments, but are soon followed up by some light comedy. There are tons of sad moments that lay in wait in this anime, so keep a tissue box ready. What seems like a happy-go-lucky anime soon turns dark once Riko and Reg head into the abyss. It's this tonal shift that really drives the stake in how dank and horrid the abyss really is compared to the surface world. In the abyss, we see tons of horrible things happen, and we are horrified the entire time. And while watching this, something hit me. These are kids. Riko is only 12 years old, and Reg is around the same age, at least mentally. These kids see and experience things that would haunt me forever, and yet they continue to descend downwards, facing monsters and horrors that are just getting worse as they go down. During this time, Riko and Reg will come up against monsters, curses, and corrupt people as they try to find Riko's mother. All the while, we learn more about white whistles, the abyss, the relics, and the monsters that reside in the abyss, as well as seeing the relationship between the kids develop and bloom as we follow Riko and Reg in their journey. We only have one season right now, but a second season is in the works. If you want to watch Made in Abyss, you'll have to head over to VRV or Amazon Prime. It has 13 episodes each each one averaging about 25 minutes, with the exception of the last episode being 45 minutes. I highly recommend watching Made in Abyss, even though it will break your heart. But with the heartbreak, you learn to appreciate the simpler and more wholesome moments in life and in the show when they show up. I can't stress enough how good Made in Abyss is, and how I think everyone should watch it. But that's all the time I have for today. Have you seen or read Made in Abyss? Have an anime or manga for me to check out? Why not tweet me at CTV Goofing Off and make sure you use the all-important hashtag Animanga. Until next time, I'll see you later, guys. So did you hear Colin's talking about Star Wars?
Did they make a new game for it?
What? No, he's doing Double Take.
But that's my thing.
No, it's Colin's, and he's doing Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Oh, come on!
Hey fellas, this is Colin, and for this episode I will be taking over for Matt Reed on this edition of Double Take. Very recently I learned that Matt doesn't care much for The Last Jedi. In fact, I would say that he vehemently hates the film. In keeping with the format of this show and the fact that I happen to really like the film, I thought it would be a great idea to cover it. This video won't consist of me telling everyone why they're wrong for not liking the film. After all, film is subjective and there's no such thing as being objective in terms of liking or disliking art. My goal simply is to give my perspective as to why I like The Last Jedi, and that hopefully you'll understand why I enjoy it, and why I think the general vitriol of this film is a bit undeserved. I feel it's important to give context, so I'll just say that a great majority of people love the original trilogy and not so much the prequels. Personally, I thought some of the ideas and themes that George Lucas was going for in the prequels were interesting, but a lot of what dragged those films down was the abundance of political intrigue, wooden acting, and over-reliance on CGI, and so on. 10 years after Episode 3, The Force Awakens comes out, directed by J.J. Abrams, and it reignites the fan base and the franchise. It can be largely summed up that J.J. Abrams succeeded in all three, and the hype was unreal for Episode 8, where it was anticipated that Luke Skywalker would again have a prominent role in the Star Wars film. Episode 8 picks up where 7 left off, with Rey meeting Luke Skywalker in Ahch-To, but first, we see what the Resistance is up to as they flee from one of their bases when the First Order arrives. Poe leads a counterattack on the invaders, but it would prove costly as Poe decides it's a great opportunity to take out one of the dreadnoughts, no matter how many lives it would end up costing. More on this later. Meanwhile, Rey finally meets Luke Skywalker, the man she has heard so many stories about, the man who defeated Darth Vader and even convinced him to switch sides as the Rebel Alliance defeated the Empire. She hands Luke his old blue lightsaber, the one he hasn't seen since that fateful duel in Cloud City, and he tosses it behind him without a single care in the world. This is our introduction to the new Luke Skywalker, a Luke who is now disillusioned by the Force and the Jedi. Even when he eventually agrees to teach Rey the ways of the Force, he goes out of his way to teach her why the Jedi Order is a failed state. In a way, he's not wrong. I mean, after all, they did let Emperor Palpatine deconstruct the entire Jedi Order right under their noses, and not a single one of them managed to sniff him out until it was too late. Luke believes the Jedi only cause more problems than they solve, and the fact that he tried to start his own Jedi Order only for it to go down in flames, it confirmed his suspicions. Luke was so distraught at his own failures that he closed himself off from the Force and lived his life as a hermit on an island. It's this reaction to his own failures that feeds into the film's main theme of learning from your past. In my opinion, this was the only route that director Rian Johnson could have gone with Luke after Episode 7. Why else would he hide out on that island for all these years? It would be cowardly of him if he were simply hiding for all these years. After all, it's important to remember that he had closed himself off from the Force, so it's not like he knew about the destruction of the New Republic and the New Order and everything else that happened in the past 30 years. The only thing that really makes sense of why Luke lived in isolation for so long is the trauma he endured when his Jedi Order was brought down by his main pupil, Ben Solo, who would obviously later become Kylo Ren. Plus, he felt responsible for all the lives that were taken when Ben went rogue. So, with Rey already being physically proficient when it comes to combat, Luke focuses on teaching her the fundamentals of the Force and why the philosophy of the Jedi is flawed. He briefly touches on why there must be balance of the Force, and that it's not really healthy to abide heavily by either the light or dark sides of the Force. He criticizes the Jedi's vanity since they were considered the paragons of the Force, and he also stresses that the Jedi Order is muddled in their failures. It's because of their failure, and his own, that he feels the Jedi deserve to be condemned. He of course ignores all of their good deeds, and Rey even tries to convince him otherwise, but he isn't having it. In terms of how he treats failure, Luke isn't much different from Kylo Ren. Like Luke, Kylo Ren despises his own past, so much so that he feels he needs to be rid of it in order to become who he truly wants to be. As part of what makes Kylo Ren a great villain is that, well, he's complicated. He's morally conflicted. He may have killed his father in a previous film, but he also let his mother live in this film. This suggests that he's not truly enveloped by the dark side of the Force, and that he's in a somewhat purgatorial state. It's this constant struggle between light and dark that causes his erratic behavior. Snoke even calls him out for pretending to be Darth Vader while wearing his dumb mask. Taking this message to heart, he destroys the mask in an elevator. Kylo simply struggles with his identity and his place in the grand scheme of things. Same thing with Rey if you really consider it. She wants nothing more than to be a part of something bigger. She wants to know that she was destined for something greater than wasting away on a desert planet scavenging parts for food. Still, her and Kylo find themselves on opposite sides of the ideological spectrum, and they communicate this telepathically through the Force, which I actually found to be pretty interesting as to what you can do with the Force. After all, the Force is an energy that surrounds us, it penetrates, and it binds the galaxy together. Being able to communicate like this using the Force makes perfect sense to me. In these conversations, Kylo reveals his side of what happened between him and Luke, and they both see themselves as hypothetical partners. Also, Rey becomes convinced she could do the same thing Luke managed to do with Vader, give him a change of heart. These conversations eventually bring them together on screen, and Luke spots them, causing him to go haywire. He decides he will no longer teach Rey, and after a brief sparring session, Luke reveals what really happened between him and Kylo. Truth was, Luke could sense that Kylo was being corrupted by Snoke, and he saw visions of a very dark and foreboding future. Luke felt it was his responsibility to kill him and prevent the future conflict, and pulled out his lightsaber. Fans especially took issue with this, saying that it simply wasn't in his character to do this, but I counter this by saying that Luke and the Skywalkers in general were always impulsive and rash. You can see that Luke immediately regrets having even thought about killing his pupil, but it was too late when Kylo stared at his master, who held a lightsaber against him. Following this, he retaliates by killing the rest of Luke's pupils and burning down the temple. Because of this experience, Luke feels that Kylo is beyond saving, but Rey disagrees and she leaves to go find him. Luke is especially distraught after this, and he goes to burn the Jedi tree and all the books with it. But what follows is perhaps my favorite scene in the film. Yoda appears to give one final lesson to Luke. Before Luke can torch the tree, Yoda does it for him by summoning lightning, which is now a thing Force Ghosts can do. And that's pretty cool. But even in his old age, Luke is as confused as ever. And Yoda gives him perhaps his most important lesson of all. You learn from your failures. You don't get rid of your past, you improve upon it, and you move on. You can teach about mastery of combat and the Force, but you must also teach your failures in the hopes that your pupils don't repeat them and that they can learn from them. The Jedi Order doesn't necessarily deserve condemnation, it just needs to evolve. Before I move on with Luke, Rey, and Kylo, let's discuss the arcs of Poe and Finn. As I discussed earlier, Poe's impulse got him in trouble, and a lot of other people killed. Our new character, Admiral Holdo, who is now leading the ship due to events earlier in the film, grills him on this, saying people like him are the last thing this team needs. We automatically take Poe's side, however, since he is an established and well-liked character, but it's important to realize that his empty heroics are just that, empty. Even though we initially distrust Holdo, she's definitely in the right here. Regardless, Poe acts out a mutiny by sheer impulse, after discovering Holdo's plans of failing to transport ships, which he deems to be cowardly. Of course, she planned on letting everyone else evacuate while she remained on the ship to try and redirect the First Order's course. And yes, she could have told Poe that, but she also didn't know how the First Order were tracking them through light speed, since that was something Poe neglected to mention. And she wasn't about to just spill the details of her plan, fearing there may be a spy. Leia awakens, however, and subdues Poe and his mutiny, allowing Holdo to continue with her plan. Through this, Poe learns that impulse and rash, short-sighted decisions do not make for good leadership. You have to be calm and calculated, and learn how to weigh your decisions carefully, which is something he tends to not do. Having learned this, he knows by the end that the ends do not justify the means, and that you don't have to risk the lives of your soldiers unnecessarily to get things done. Finn, at the beginning of the film, tries to ditch the Resistance. After leaving the First Order, he temporarily aligned himself with the Resistance, mostly because of his bond with Rey. But seeing that Rey was now elsewhere, he had no desire to stick around, so he tries to skip town, which is where we meet Rose. Rose practically worships the ground that Finn walks on, until she learns that he's trying to escape, and she puts a stop to it. Later on, Finn, Poe, and Rose learn that the First Order is able to track them in light speed, and so they quickly devise a plan to disable their tracking devices. Through Maz Kanata, they learn about a man who can help them who lives in Canto Bight, which is the location of the much derided casino sequence in the film. I can definitely see people's gripes with this C-plot in the film, but there were several things that interested me during it. But first off, their plan gets derailed because they failed to park in an appropriate location and they got locked up, which is where they meet a hacker named DJ. DJ seems to have a Han Solo-esque rogue complex with a heart of gold, and it's through DJ that we're reminded of the fact that we don't live in a binary world, when he points out that the First Order and the Resistance benefit from war profiteering. There's all sorts of moral gray areas to consider, which is new for Star Wars, considering it has always banked heavily on the light-dark paradigm in its universe. Anyways, Finn learns through Rose that no action is in vain when he helped people along the way, or in this case those horse things, and it's worth putting aside your own self to join a greater cause. By the end of the film, Finn is willing to die for the cause. Back to Kylo and Rey. They eventually cross paths on Snoke's ship, and after a long monologue from Snoke, he gives Kylo the orders to kill Rey. Kylo refused, however, and instead killed Snoke, which I rather enjoyed. Snoke was never anything more than a Darth Sidious 2.0, and he invited zero intrigue on my part. Killing Snoke now meant we could fully explore Kylo as an antagonist, and after the brilliantly shot and choreographed fight scene that followed, Kylo pleaded with Rey to follow him and create a new order separate from the light and the dark. And he helps Rey realize that she doesn't come from some special lineage. She really is some ordinary person who got caught up into something bigger. And personally, I wouldn't have it any other way. I would have been disappointed if it turned out she was Luke's daughter or someone else that we already know. Doing that would have made the universe smaller, and it would have perpetuated this idea that only people who come from a special bloodline can become something greater. Afterwards, Rey refuses to join Kylo, and after Holdo rams into Snoke's fleet at light speed, which has to be one of the most brilliantly filmed sequences in any Star Wars film, Rey escapes into chaos, and Kylo then declares himself Supreme Leader. At this point, the Resistance escapes to make a last stand on the planet Crate, while Rey and Chewie draw TIE fighters away in the Millennium Falcon. But most importantly, Luke Skywalker finally makes his grand entrance, or it at least appears he did. He then shares his final moment with his sister Leia, and then heads out. With the First Order preparing a siege on a rebel base, Luke stares them all down, and Kylo soon goes out to meet them. After a brief exchange, they soon fight with Luke curiously not making one offensive maneuver. Before long, Kylo realizes he's fighting an astral projection of Luke, a projection Luke was able to make with the Force while still on the island. With his renewed belief in the Jedi Order, Luke says he won't be the last Jedi, implying that Rey will carry his torch, and she will be the change that the Order desperately needs. She will be the key to the balance of the Force. With that, the Resistance is able to escape with the help of Rey, who lifts all the boulders covering the exits with the Force, and Luke peacefully dies on Ahch-To before a twin sunset. Luke becomes one with the Force. I thought it was refreshing that Luke was able to intervene and give the Resistance a chance to escape all through non-violence, which is the most Jedi thing he could have possibly done. Before the film ends, we're treated to a short scene involving the children we saw being abused in Canto Bight earlier, as they share a story about the legends of Luke Skywalker before their master barges in. Then, we see one of the kids use the Force to bring a broom to him before he gives a hopeful gaze up into the horizon, yearning for bigger and better things to come. It served as another reminder that you don't have to be some prophetic child or come from some special bloodline to use the Force. Anyone can. To sum up my thoughts, I appreciate The Last Jedi for taking risks with its characters and the narratives. And I didn't really touch on it, but it's worth mentioning that the cinematography is absolutely breathtaking, and so is the music, which is to be expected with John Williams. I loved its themes of resisting impulse and rashness, and even more so with learning from our own failures. You don't bury the past or kill it, you can only improve upon it and move on. And now that all of the original trilogy parallels have been dealt with, I'm more excited than ever to see where the next installment goes. Thanks for watching Double Take. Feel free to hit the like button down below, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Twitter at ZTV Goofing Off. See ya!
Matt, what you got there, buddy?
I'm just working on the prototype of this thing, so Drew could maybe craft it for a segment.
Matt, here I made something.
What do you mean? I worked all night on this thing.
Well, Matt Morns, why don't you check out Drew craft something awesome on Crit Crafting?
Oh, that's good. Welcome back, my Crit Crafters. I'm Drew Brown. Today on Crit Craft, and I have a very special project for you. Today we'll be heading to the forge to show you how to make your very own homemade knife. A little disclaimer, remember that for this you'll be dealing with a lot of dangerous tools, so remember to wear the proper equipment for the job, like gloves, an apron, and the like. Just make sure you're safe. Anyway, let's head over to the forge. So firstly, take a piece of steel square stock and heat it up in the forge until it becomes hot enough to cut on the chisel. Cut it by holding the metal on top of the chisel and hitting it with the hammer to apply pressure and dig into it and repeating it like a lot. This is called a hot cut. After you have your piece of the steel cut, you're going to have to start flattening it. In a similar process, you'll be heating it up and hitting it with the hammer again. This both flattens the metal and strengthens it by compressing it. This is by far the longest of the process. It takes like 2 hours. 2 hours of just heating it up, smacking it, heating it up again, and smacking it again. Remember to keep your forge hot, so it's okay to take a little break and mash up some more coal to throw it on the forge to keep things hot. Continue to shape the metal until it is mostly flat. After it's to its appropriate thickness, the knife begins to take shape. After this, you can finally leave the forge and it's onto the belt grinder. At the grinder, you should start by removing all the scale, which is all the burnt on carbon and coal dust. So basically, once you start to see the silver, that means you're good. Our blacksmith told me to note that he left some of the scale on because he was trying to go for a more rustic look. So if that's your thing, keep some on. We had some trouble spots in the knife, so we took it over to our wheel grinder. There's a lot of sparks, so again, be sure you're wearing proper safety equipment like gloves and goggles. The next step is the quench. This involves you evenly heating the blade before dipping it into oil. We use 2 people for this process for the purpose of reducing fire risk. Quenching compresses the crystalline structure of the steel, making it hard but more brittle. After that, we move down to the tempering process. It reduces the brittleness caused by hardening. This is probably the easiest part. All you have to do is put it in the oven at 400 degrees at 20 to 30 minutes. It's as easy as making a pizza. After your knife is done tempering, we took off the excess carbon from the quench by hand. This involves a lot of hand polishing with the sandpaper. Use a high grit sandpaper as it not only removes the carbon, but it also polishes it at the same time. Then you cut a handle onto some wood. We use some sassafras, but any wood will do. We will then glue it to the metal blade part of the knife. To do this, we use a 2-stage epoxy which sets in 5 minutes, but had to cure for a couple hours. You might want to get some lunch or something while you're waiting. Finally, you're going to need to make the handle a little more handle-like. We used the belt sander again and grinded it down and rounded it out so it's a little easier to hold. We then sanded it down with some sandpaper just to give it a little more polished look. Finally and lastly, we gave it some stain to make it have a little bit of color. And there you go. It's a long process, but it's really satisfying to see the final product at the end. There's nothing like seeing something that you made yourself be finally completed. Well, it was a long process, but we made it, and you have a super cool homemade knife to show off. So what did you think of this craft? Any suggestions for the next craft? Tweet me at CTV Goofing Off with the hashtag CritCraftin'. Until next time, I'm Drew Brown, and this has been Crit Craftin'.
We did it. We made it through this twilight zone of an episode.
I really don't know what you've been on about this entire episode. Nothing is wrong.
You know what? I give up. I'm submitting to the madness. Thank you all for joining us on this ridiculous episode. Make sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. My name is Matt Reed.
And I'm Karen Blenton, and thank you for taking the time to goof off with us. You ever get one of those crayon makers as a kid? Where you melt crayons to make those weird crayons?
Yeah, I just kept making food out of the red ones because the red ones taste the best.
Facebook doesn't exist.
Howdy, partner. I'm just here to read a script.
You've yeed your last haw.
But I like yeehawing.
I don't.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. Do you want to gain experience in video production, professional social media, or working with real clients? Visit the UA School of Communications online or follow us on social media to learn more. ZTV. Make media, make a difference.